have Sundays kind of locked in. So we're going to go ahead and take Christmas this year. And the NBA was like, all right, but like not anymore, right? Like this is just a one-time deal, right? Just I know Christmas is on a Sunday. You guys play on Sundays. But like we're done, right? Because we kind of really put a lot into our Christmas. And the NFL was like, we'll see. Now the NFL is like, yeah, we're going to go ahead and take Christmas too. NBA, that was like, I know that you've had it and all, but just, it was a good run, but we're going to go ahead and take Christmas too. And like now it's like, oh, you're in the middle of your playoffs. We're going to go ahead and drop the schedule. Good luck with that. Yes, Brenden.
Yeah, and I think in addition to that, Justin, just the question has to be asked. I can remember plenty of NFL games around that time, not on Christmas, but just around that window, that are extremely consequential, Justin. They're huge for playoff seeding. They're huge for this.
Yeah.
They're huge for that. You tell me the last time you're like, oh, this NBA game, I gotta watch. They're not consequential. The ratings have been declining. Like, Justin, I remember a few years ago, it was a handful, actually more than a few years ago, when the Blazers finally played on Christmas.
Yeah.
Right? Played the Jazz in Utah. Got clapped. Absolutely
Yeah, it was
clapped.
not good.
By like 20, 25 points. And it's like, more times than not, Christmas Day games are not great basketball. So that's why I think a part of this is, for sure.
Well, here's the reason why the NBA owned Christmas for so long and why it worked for the NBA for so long at Christmas. Because once you grow up and move out of the house, you realize that, when you were a kid, this is how Christmas used to go. You would wake up incredibly early. Did you guys have like a designated wake up time? We did. Ours was 7:30. It was like, look at the clock. If it does not say 7:30,
so it's funny how that
do not get up.
When did your age change, Justin? Because I very distinctly remember till about 13, 14, then all of a sudden it was, oh, Brendan's got to get out of bed kind of a thing. So it's like, 7, 8 o'clock. Then all of a sudden it's like, sleep until 9, 10. You know what I mean?
I never did it, Chris. I was always like, we're getting stuff.
Oh, even at like 15, 16?
Yeah, you're up at 7:30.
No. I'm like, nope.
But that was the rule, right? So you, like as a kid, you get up at 7:30 and you're like, you go there and you get your whatever it is, you get your big toy, and then you open up all the gifts, you have breakfast, and then you go and play with your stuff. Well, then as an adult, you go to Christmas and you wake up and you open your gifts and you have breakfast, and you don't have toys anymore because you're an adult, and you get very nice things, and people are very nice to buy gifts for you, and then you're just there. You're just there at your parents' house or your in-laws' house or at your grandparents' house, and you're like, we got to do something. I think there's an NBA game starting right now. That's why the NBA was so good. Like, you have to sit around with your in-laws, with your cousins, with your, like, as an adult, like, we need something to put, boom. And then the NFL was like, that's a captive audience right there on Christmas. Maybe, because one thing we learned during COVID, and we kind of always knew it, but it really settled in. The NFL was like, yeah, we can play any day of the week now. I know we only played on Sundays and sometimes Mondays, and then we threw in Thursdays. And, well, then COVID happened, and I believe we played a Tuesday game, didn't we? Like, yeah, we did. Played a Tuesday game. We played, what about Friday game? We could play essentially whenever we want. Yeah, I think we're going to take Christmas.
But doesn't it mean something, though, Justin, that like a NBA Christmas, maybe if they tied the Christmas Day games into like the play-in tournament and that kind of a thing, it would mean more. But like, when are you ever going to get people to watch an NBA game that's, 2 months into the regular season versus an NFL game that will have massive playoff implications?
That's what I'm saying. That's why the NFL is Debo. They're the bully. They know they can come in whenever they want. Whenever they want. It's like, yeah, that's cute and all. College basketball, March Madness. Right? Kind of one of the biggest standalone things on the sports calendar. Like college basketball, like we don't watch regular season college, but we watch March Madness. If the NFL wanted to, they'd be like, we're going to move the draft. Draft's going to be March. Hey, March Madness is a good run, but We're going to run the draft. Second, like, what if because they do Thursday night now, what if the NFL just said, you can have your first 2 rounds, but Sweet 16, Elite 8 weekend, we're going to run the draft there. What do you think ESPN's leading with? You know what I mean? What, like, the NFL is Debo. They are they could do whatever they want. It has gotten to a point where you just hope they don't notice. College football playoff. And I love college football, and we'll talk college football on this show anytime we could squeeze it in. College football playoff now. Better hope and pray the NFL doesn't go like, yeah, we're gonna run our stuff then. I've complained. I've complained and complained and complained in the old format that the national title game being played on a Monday night is the dumbest thing college football does. College football owns Saturdays. It owns it. It owns Saturdays. And you're going to run your national title game on a Monday night? Well, you look at all the households. And it's because they're afraid of the NFL. Because once bowl season comes around, remember, the NFL goes like, all right, it's December. We're taking Saturdays now. Remember the deal, college football. You guys can have Saturday, but... And I love college football, and I think it's the only thing that could actually rival the NFL. College football, better hope NFL doesn't just decide, we're going to play on Saturdays now. You guys are pros. You're paying your players. We might just decide. And so I do find it very funny. Hey, we're in the middle of the NFL playoffs. Yeah. What do you guys think about Jets-Niners, Monday Night Football? Was coordinated, leak that one out. We already know the Chiefs are going to be playing the Ravens on Thursday Night Football to open up the season. Now it's like, Aaron Rodgers going back to California, playing against the 49ers. Monday Night Football. What do we think about that?
I mean, the NBA's got to be on their heels a little bit. They kind of knew this was coming, Justin.
I'm saying, don't mess with the NFL, man.
But even still, you could put, think of the most marquee matchup you could. You could put LeBron and Steph together. I still don't know if that's going to draw an NFL game.
Yeah.
Even with, diehard basketball fans.
Not because, again, they're Debo. You don't mess with them. All right. Coming up, we got some more NFL. Jared Goff just signed a big, massive extension.
Dude's paid.
More and more schedule leaks are coming out. We are a couple of days from the actual full schedule coming out. And just the culture of the NFL in the offseason. We'll talk about that next. 620 Rip City Radio. right, so I know that we got the NFL, or the NBA playoffs in full force. I know that we're going to be spending the next month and a half taking a look at Serbian and French players that we've never heard of before, and maybe potentially could be the catalyst to change the fortunes of the Blazers organization these last couple of years. And we got a ton of basketball to talk about with Pounds coming up. Did you see Bronny James still going to stay in the draft? Did you see that? News came out yesterday. Clears physical. He's because I thought it was a really smart move that Bronny James did earlier this year, which was, and I think more and more players are going to do this now that eligibility, what we can do. There's going to be plenty of basketball players, and maybe even into football, which we're going to talk about in a moment, where like, yeah, I'm going to enter my name in the draft and the transfer portal at the same time. And let's just see who offers up the best deal. And I thought for certain, Bronny James and LeBron James are going to see that he is ranked, 98th on the prospect list?
Well,
in the draft, 98th. Did I have that right?
You do.
Okay.
Or you did before yesterday. So Justin, folks, better than anyone, appreciates the getting overexcited over a video of a player working out.
Love it.
Very much like Bo Nix a couple of years ago. He's like, hey.
17 seconds of an Instagram reel. And I was like, that guy's just fine.
Well,
We're good.
Justin,
We're good.
Everyone's freaking out because yesterday Bronny James hit 15 threes in a row. So.
It was clearly in basketball situations, people guarding him, right?
No.
Oh, it was against air.
But that alone, probably going to be enough to get him drafted. One video, probably enough to get him drafted. There you go.
Whose butt do we kiss more in sports? LeBron James or Deion Sanders? Who is on the top of the butt-kissing list in all of sports? And I'm talking specifically for media.
Yeah, LeBron.
Deion's on the way up.
He is.
Second. We praise this guy who went 4-8 in his first season, did not make a bowl game, was 1-8 in big boy football, and we act like he has completely changed and revolutionized college football. We act like his kids are definitely going to be top prospects. Like, where did all this come from? Where did I miss something? Now I think Shedeur Sanders is much better at football than Bronny James is at basketball, but I don't think either of those guys are anywhere close to the top of their game. Well, just look at Shedeur Sanders' stats. Like I watched every Colorado football game. I watched every one of them. You know what they did a lot of? Come from behind. They gave up huge leads because they weren't good enough. And then they came from behind, and teams were in prevent defense, and it's the most bloated stat line of anybody in all of college football. I watched them play. I was there at Autzen Stadium when Oregon put a whooping on them. Brenden, you saw it with Oregon State. Took them down.
Yeah, I mean,
wasn't even Oregon State's best game.
No, it wasn't, and Oregon State played quite terribly and still managed to win that game. But yeah, I mean, Justin's.
This is just like the butt kissing we do.
Yeah,
LeBron and Deion and their kids.
Yeah, like breaking. Like I've actually haven't heard it put quite that simply and perfectly, Justin, with Shedeur and just like playing from behind, and it makes perfect sense. Now that being said, do I think those two guys individually are very talented? Yes, and I think it will probably surprise Justin that both those guys will probably go in top 15 in the NFL draft this year.
Here's what maybe frustrates me.
Football's a team thing. And Deion does not know how to build a team, in my opinion.
Well, and
at least hasn't shown it yet.
Well, here's the other thing. The NFL don't care, right? So here's what's interesting, though. One of the multiple things that I love about sports it is one of the last true meritocracies. You can either play or you can't. We all go through life where we see, hey, so-and-so is famous. Yeah, what do they do? Doesn't matter. They're famous. By the way, that's not a new concept, kids. It's happened for a long, long time. People get ahead because they're pretty. People get ahead because they have rich parents, right? People get ahead in everything. Not in sports. Forever in sports. It is like, can you play or can you not? Ken Griffey Jr. took so much, let's say, flack coming up in the minor leagues because everybody just assumed he was only there because of his name. And they're like, oh, it turns out the guy's actually maybe one of the greatest baseball players of all time. But he made it up into the major leagues because it's a meritocracy. You can either play or you can't. There are like plenty of athletes' kids who have tried to make it and just can't. And they just can't. But it feels like because, again, sports, yes, is a meritocracy, but sports is also a business, and business is being skewed because eyeballs and clicks and views and everything else. Never once have I heard anybody talk about Bronny James and his basketball. You know what I always hear about with Bronny James? Oh, he can drive people into the stands. He is an attraction. People will show up. I heard Woj just yesterday talking about, well, Bronny James, what he's going to bring is a lot of eyeballs, and he's never once has anybody talked about his basketball.
That's a really good point, and I think that
it's the same thing with Shedeur, by the way. We talk about Shedeur. What do we talk about? Instagram followers.
Well, or his rap covers.
It's so bad.
Which was just an absolute banger.
It's terrible, right?
It's
awful.
So terrible. But no, Justin, I mean, I think when you get down to it, I think, like you said, the point about kids, and Shedeur didn't necessarily come onto the scene until Deion got to Colorado. We knew he was at Jackson State, but he wasn't mainstream.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, I knew who he was because he was he's Deion's kid.
Right.
I love Deion growing up, by the way. I'm a Deion Sanders fan. I, in 8th grade, tried to wear a do-rag under my football helmet like Deion Sanders did and was told politely, no, you don't get to do that. I want to be Deion Sanders. And I was like, yeah, you aren't fast.
But no,
all.
I mean, to your point, like.
But again, I knew who Shedeur was.
Right.
Because he was going to Florida State. Willie Taggart, remember, just left
right.
Oregon for Florida State. And it's like, oh, Willie, he's a 3. And then the whole Jackson State thing happened and the Colorado thing happened.
Right.
So I knew of him, but he was a 3-star recruit.
Well, and we've never seen I don't think we've ever seen the son of an athlete be so much in the spotlight than this kid. It's like, let's talk,
before doing anything.
Right. And it's like, Tiger Woods' kid, for example, I think is a pretty good golfer, right? Let's take a look at some more. Like Justin and I talk all the time. You never heard about, I believe Michael Jordan had 2 sons. Never.
One played at Central Florida.
Yep.
And guess what? Wasn't good enough to play past that and didn't.
But where was why was there no
This is what I want to talk about.
Hype, because Justin, you go back and look, I guarantee you, almost guarantee, and I don't have it in front of me, probably Michael Jordan's kid stats at, you said UCF, were probably better than what Bronny put up at USC this year.
I don't know if they actually, Bronny at least played.
What was his first name?
I think it's Jeffrey. I think Jeffrey Jordan played at UCF. But this is it's his old stuff and new stuff mixed together, right? Fame and name recognition have always been a thing, right? Whether you are the child of a celebrity.
Okay, Bronny was a little bit better.
Yeah, I don't think he played.
But
he was in the layup line and everything.
It was comparable, Justin.
But nobody was going to Central Florida games to watch Michael Jordan's kid play because Michael Jordan might show up. People did show up to USC games to watch Bronny score 4 points. And again, I don't like bashing Bronny James because from what I understand, he doesn't seem to be out there like Shedeur Sanders has been, right? Shedeur Sanders has been doing the whole, hey, look at my Rolex. I drive a Lambo. I'm better than all of you. And, hey, I'm all for S talking if you can back it up. I love it. It's sports. Sports are fun. But the reason you got a Rolex and you got a Lambo isn't because you were 4-8 in Pac-12 play, Shador. It's because your dad's a Hall of Famer. Your dad's a Hall of Famer, and he bought you the Rolex, and he got you the deal. And if your name was Shador Saunders, and you weren't Dion's kid, you would have a Timex. People still wear Timexes? They take a licking and keep on ticking. It was a big deal.
Never heard that before.
You never heard of a Timex watch?
No, the same.
It takes a licking,
yeah,
and it keeps on ticking.
And of course, I've heard of Timex, man. It's like, but yeah, nowadays it's what? What's the NBA one? Tissot?
I don't know. I'm not a watch guy. I haven't know.
No watches here.
You do a watch. I have a phone.
I'd like to invest in an Apple Watch because I think those are kind of cool, especially for working out, Justin. Just having waterproof, all that kind of stuff. But
I'm out on all watches.
Fair.
All watches.
I respect it. It's a hard,
and the Apple
you either
Watch
are or you aren't.
The Apple Watch especially because I'm already bad enough returning text messages. You can attest to this. I don't then need it on my, then I will have no excuses. Did you see that text? Yeah, it was on my watch. Couldn't help but see it. Anyways, I don't know. It's just, it feels like Emperor's New Clothes, right? The old story of the Emperor's New Clothes where, it is Dion and it is LeBron James. And obviously both of those guys bring a lot of eyeballs and anywhere that they go. But nobody wants to just come right out and be like, Bronny's not good enough playing the NFL, to play in the NBA. He's not. And maybe Shador Sanders is good enough to play in the NFL. Maybe he will prove me wrong all season long and he will rip the Big 12 to shreds. I doubt it. But maybe he will. But the idea that you can honestly sit and look at the college football landscape and just go, okay, of all the quarterbacks that are going to play, the guy that went 4-8, he's going to be the number 1 overall pick or a top 5 pick, number 3 pick. That guy, the guy that went 4-8.
Well, Dion knows where he's going, Justin.
And save me his offensive line. I watched USC have maybe one of the most atrocious offensive lines in all of college football, and I still watch Caleb Williams gut out 8 wins. Just because that's a number 1 player. But it is this new phenomenon of we are so, not me, clearly I'm not afraid, but from a national media standpoint, Brenden, it feels like there is such fear you don't want to cross LeBron James and say, Bronny's not good enough, because then guess what? Well, now LeBron doesn't talk to you, or LeBron decides that he is going to then give a free interview to your competitor. Everybody's afraid, I feel like, or maybe just overly cautious to come out and be like, hey, Deion Sanders, I don't know if he's a very good coach. He's 4-8. Oh, he was 1-11 the year before. So was Northwestern. They won 7 games at Northwestern. It's a transfer portal era. We were sold. We were sold by Deion Sanders, right? Oh, no. I know what I'm doing. You guys are all idiots. I'm the smart one. I'm going to figure it all out because we got a transfer portal. I don't need to rebuild with all of these guys on this roster. I just bring in my own guy. How's that going? 4-8, and you're going to do it over again this year? But I feel like of those two, and it's interesting, Brenden, you mentioned Charlie Woods. Here's why this won't happen in golf. You have to tee the ball up and put it in the hole. Right? At some point, Charlie Woods is going to have to play a tournament. And you either go under par or you don't. It's an individual sport. You can't blame your offensive line. You can't blame your coach. No. if Charlie Woods is ultimately going to become a golfer at a high level, at a world-class level, guess what? He either lifts trophies in the air or he doesn't. Now, maybe he will get more endorsements because he's Tiger Woods' kid. Maybe he will get more money from an advertising standpoint, but it's not like he's going to get a four-shot bump at the Masters because it's like you bring a lot of eyeballs here. But this Bronny James and Shedeur Sanders thing is it's fascinating because, like I said, tell me about their game. I remember having this not argument, spirited debate. Brenden, as you know, I'm not a video game guy. I'm not a video game. I don't get it. I don't understand video game culture. That's fine. Other people do. And while you play like the Madden and like what do you got, Xbox?
I do. Did you know the college football games come back this summer?
I've heard.
Oh, gotcha.
I've heard things.
Yeah. Don't need me the last 2 weeks of July.
Okay.
Beyond the scope of this
During
show.
break,
Beyond the scope of
Brendan's
this
playing.
show, of course. But
you're going to be playing the thing.
Oh, my gosh,
but
yes.
I remember
yes.
I had one of the producers on the bridge, shout out Serrano if you're listening, whom I love, but he was a gamer. And I was like, tell me about gamers, but don't tell me how much money they make. Right? Tell me why this is a big deal because that was every time you talked about video, like who is this ninja guy? Well, he makes blah, 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 millions of dollars. I'm like, okay, tell me about him without the money. Bronny James, Shedeur Sanders. Tell me about their game without telling me how many eyeballs they have, without telling me their Instagram followers, without it's manufactured popularity. Now, maybe that's the wave of the future, and maybe there are some teams out there that are like, yeah, we might be able to sell some G League games out because we've got Bronny James, and maybe LeBron will sit courtside. But when was the last time you heard going into an NFL draft, and we'll see what happens with Shedeur this year. I have a hunch his name is going to fall down draft boards because I think it's cute and fun right now, but the rubber hasn't met the road in the NFL. I still think we're at that meritocracy. There will be an NBA team that will take a flyer on Bronny James.
Probably the Lakers. Let's not kid
ourselves.
Let's not kid ourselves here.
Lakers have a G League team, right?
Yes, the South Bay Lakers.
So that, from a business standpoint, it would make sense, right? You draft Bronny James. Every once in a while, you bring him up, have him sit at the end of the bench with the Lakers, but you have him play for the South Bay Lakers, and now you've got people flocking to whatever arena they play in. Yes, Brenden.
Would the Lakers have to trade into the first round, Justin, or can they snag him at 55? You would think, but
This is where I don't know. This is why my brain is melting over this, which is why we've just been talking about it for 20 minutes because nobody ever talks about his basketball. Same thing with Shedeur Sanders. Nobody talks about his football. They only talk about, they bring a lot of eyeballs. Shedeur Sanders should be on the cover of the EA NCAA. He went 4-8 as a quarterback. Yeah, but think about the numbers. Tell me again.
People are concerned about Caitlin Clark's numbers too, Justin, but she wins and has talent.
She's the greatest shooter in women's basketball history. Yeah.
That's the only comparison when I hear numbers and draw. I'm like, are you Caitlin Clark?
Yeah, but like you said, she won games.
Yes.
How'd USC do this year in men's basketball?
Very horribly.
Did they make the tournament?
Andy Enfield left.
All right. And Colorado football, they did not make a bowl game.
Well, yeah,
they would have let them if somebody, but last I checked, Caitlin Clark was in the national championship game the last 2 years. Yeah, a little different. All right, we've got some basketball to talk about, a couple of games last night. Oklahoma City Thunder are back, baby. We wrap up hour number 1 next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, we had 2 games in the NBA last night. Oklahoma City Thunder show some life. Had an interesting lineup change. And Cleveland Cavaliers, without Donovan Mitchell, just did not have enough oomph. Gave it a shot, but that series looks to be pretty close to being wrapped up. But we've got more basketball on the way. Knicks might be continuing to deal with injury situations. So that and a whole lot more. Plus, the Phoenix Suns going to break up the Big Three? That seems to be very curious timing on that, too, as well. I have some thoughts and I have some questions that I shall throw out to the universe. But we do nothing this segment without the accompaniment of the great John Tesh. Here we go. All right, it was a fun run, Cleveland. Good for you. You made it to the second round. I think it's pretty much over. I doubt Donovan Mitchell even plays in Game 5. They go down 109-102. Last night, Oklahoma City Thunder, they get the win. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander takes over. Also, I know that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to get a ton of credit for what he did last night. Brenden, can we talk about Kyrie Irving playing 41 minutes and getting 9 points?
You know, it's a feast or famine with Kyrie a little bit.
In a playoff
we saw what
game
he can
at
do.
home?
I mean, just a cold night, I think.
I mean, Luka only had 18 points. He was 6 of 20, but
This was more about Shai and the Thunder coming back, Justin. Like, they scored, I think, 35 in the fourth quarter.
yeah,
He put them on his back.
He did that.
Maybe should have been MVP, but someone had a stake in that. I don't know who.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, I don't disagree.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander played great. He looked like an MVP caliber player last night. I thought Chet Holmgren played great basketball, especially down the stretch. He's going to be a problem. The more and more he figures out NBA basketball, Chet Holmgren's going to be more and more of a problem. Not like Wemby level, but he's going to be a problem. But did you see Josh Giddey got benched last night in the second half? And it's bad enough getting benched in a playoff game. It's bad enough where a coach is like, dude, you are a liability right now, Giddey. We cannot play you because he started the game, did not start the second half. I don't believe played a minute in the second half, and I know that because I'm watching the game, and the camera crew and the producers in the truck at TNT could not stop showing him on the bench. And I'm like, leave the guy alone. Just got benched. You got to put a camera on him the entire time.
He's got a very Ben Simmons problem right now, Justin.
He just got the yips. Is he got?
Well,
he won't pull the trigger.
well,
Won't shoot the ball.
Josh Giddey is like when he came in the draft a few years ago, and I really like him as a player. However, very much like it took 3 or 4 different teams to figure out how to use Rudy Gobert successfully in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Justin, against the Mavericks, shooting 18% from 3. And, they're leaving him open and saying, daring you to shoot. Blazer fans, you remember when the Golden State Warriors dared Al-Farouq Aminu and Mo Harkless to shoot? How did that work out over the course of 4, 5, 6, 7 games?
But also credit to Oklahoma City. They're like, we're not going to sit around and watch this anymore.
Right.
You're going to go, right?
So
See that spot right there on the bench? Get comfy because that's where you're going to sit.
And like Justin and I'll give Justin the full credit. But
Thank you.
We have discussed, could he be a piece that goes to Phoenix in a trade for the Durantula this offseason? I mean, I would be remiss if I didn't say like this, Justin. Josh Giddey will probably be on the move this offseason.
All right, so a couple things.
Maybe you should have just
let's talk Phoenix real quick because I know that nothing in NBA media happens by accident, right? It is a very small world, and nothing in NBA media happens by accident. And so I took a look up at the TV. By the way, LeBron sat courtside in Cleveland last night. We may talk about that coming up to open up the 7 o'clock hour.
He just went to see his school, Justin.
And sit courtside at a Cavs game.
But it's his
to
school.
Let everybody remember who the king was. Lest you all forget, I'm still LeBron James. I know I'm not in the playoffs.
But it's all about me.
We might talk about that later on. But Let's talk about Phoenix real quick. Because I saw on ESPN just yesterday, I don't know if it was Stephen A. Smith or who else it was, like, Kevin Durant, his best fit is the Miami Heat. So, Brenden, I ask you this because I know that you know everybody's agent. Who is Kevin Durant's agent? He's not a Rich Paul guy.
Rich Kleiman.
I knew he was a Rich.
Yeah, who is very, other than Clutch, probably the biggest name out there.
Huge name, wields a lot of power. Are they trying to get Kevin Durant to the Miami Heat?
Well,
because just out of nowhere on First Take, they're like, "Hey, what do you guys think about Kevin Durant going to the Miami Heat?" Which we've never heard of before. Like, that hasn't been brought up at all. I'd be curious to see what Pat Riley and company would think about that. But we know that Jimmy Butler won a Dame last year, and he wanted to go big game hunting. They know they're a player away from even competing. The Miami Heat are, and maybe I don't know if Kevin Durant's going to be that player. But
it would be
when I saw that yesterday, I was like, okay, Kevin Durant's agent has been leaking to Kendrick Perkins or to Stephen A. Smith or to somebody at ESPN to, like, let's start the Kevin Durant to Miami talk. So regardless if he goes to Miami or not, he wants out of Phoenix.
I think
he wants out of Phoenix.
I wonder if
you don't just float those things.
Gosh. Wouldn't this be a hilarious moment, Justin, if Durant wants to go to Miami and the Suns do him like the Blazers did Dame and said, well, we're going to move you for the best package.
Yeah.
And again, the Heat are intriguing, but do the Suns want Tyler Hero? That's ultimately what this comes down to if that was the case. Do the Suns want Tyler Hero? Because the Blazers did not, and that's why that did not happen.
Well, but Tyler Hero didn't fit, right? The Blazers, like, ton of guards, and I don't know about the Suns. Now, they've got
Booker
a lot of
and
guards
Beal.
as well. They've got Booker. They got Bradley Beal.
They don't fit.
They have what's his name? Allen. Coming up, like
Drew Eubanks.
Yeah, but I don't think he's in their long-term plans as well.
I think it's intriguing, Justin. And Pat Riley's always out there star hunting, but we'll see.
But I have now seen multiple times on ESPN, and again, nothing in the NBA happens by accident, of like, oh, should the Phoenix Suns break up the big three? Should they break everybody up? It's like, well, that's a new thing. I think Durant's shopping. I think Kevin Durant is taking a look ahead and like, I've got a handful of years left. Phoenix ain't it. I thought it was. Phoenix ain't it. And he's going to be hop, skipping, and jumping and ring chasing for the next couple of years. All right. Hour number 2 coming up next, 620, Rip City Radio. It is 7 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Justin Myers with you. NBA playoffs rolled on last night. The Celtics, with LeBron James in the building, took down the Cavs 109-102. Jason Tatum, 33 points to lead the Celtics to a 3-1 advantage in that series. The Oklahoma City Thunder get a win on the road in Dallas. That series now tied at 2 games apiece. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 34 points in the win. Kyrie Irving, just 9 points in 41 minutes in the loss for the Dallas Mavericks. NFL news, the Lions have signed Jared Goff to a 4-year, $212 million extension. $170 million of that is guaranteed. More scheduling leaks from the NFL, or carefully coordinated drops, as we now know that Week 1 Monday Night Football will have the New York Jets traveling across the country to take on the San Francisco 49ers. Friend of the program, Devon Pouncey, joins us in Hour 3, but Hour 2 starts right now on 620 Rip City Radio. Hey, welcome back to Rip City Mornings, everybody. Hopefully you are having a fantastic Tuesday. Coming up in 20 minutes, we have Make or Miss. Coming up in about 45 minutes, you will all get off my lawn. I think I got a doozy today. Something happened to me last week. I kept it in. I was like, should I talk about it? And then I was like, nope, going to talk about it. So you're going to get off my lawn coming up, and Pounce is going to join us. Boy, Siri is real sensitive lately. My phone keeps popping up. Anyways, Pounce is going to join us in hour number 3. Get his thoughts on Bronny James. Because he's going to the G League. If he does get drafted, right? Now, Brenden and I have been guilty of maybe just reading the headlines and not really diving too deep into the stories. I've also been guilty of like opening up and reading the first 2 paragraphs and be like, I think I've got it figured out. I know that there's still, I think, 2 weeks, roughly, that Bronny James could decide to go back to college. But it doesn't sound like that's, like the decision's been made. He's going to the combine. He's worked out for teams. He's going into the draft. Like, he's not going to be playing college football or college basketball next year. And the one thing I heard from Woj was, yeah, there will be some team that will take a flyer on him because they know he will fill their G League arena. Will that team be the Lakers? Will that team be the Cavs? Because, again, you saw LeBron James sitting courtside in Cleveland, letting all the people know, and keep a close eye on what's going to be going on in Los Angeles, because LeBron James has set up his contract strategically over these last 15 years, really, to where he always has outs. And he can essentially play for anyone he wants at this particular point, right? He's like he's on a 1-year deal every single year on out. And maybe I'm giving him too much credit, but I don't think it was an accident. I don't think it was just a, hey, we're going to be checking, because what was the story? He was in Cleveland because of his academy, the school he built, and he just figured, yeah, let's go sit courtside at the Cavs game. That was a coordinated effort.
Nothing LeBron does is by accident.
Nothing is done by accident. Now, some of this might
except
just be,
say you want to watch The Godfather.
Well, no, that wasn't an accident. The accident was like he probably didn't expect to be called out on it.
Like
somebody watch The Godfather every year before the playoffs. I watch The Godfather. What's your favorite quote? Oh, so many of them.
Yeah, somebody asked me over the weekend, Justin, because I was.
Has there ever been a movie that you said you watched but you never did? It's okay. It's a safe place.
That's a good question.
For years and years and years, I said I watched Goodfellas, and I never watched it. I ultimately did watch it, and can I tell you, not that great. Not that great. Goodfellas.
Yeah. Fair. I can't say that I've ever lied about a movie, just in general. I don't consider myself to be a liar, but
Well, okay, I wouldn't say I'm a liar, but like if conversations come up about a movie, I just I don't maybe offer up that I haven't seen it because like I get the reaction that I get from you when I tell you that I have never saw Avatar and you looked at me like I was a psychopath. That first time.
it is the second and third or the first and third highest grossing movies of all time. But hey, you do you.
I know. I just never saw it. It was never.
Like you were the only one.
I think I was.
Like quite literally. Like it's
I
funny.
think I was the one.
It's funny to play that game. Like I bet you folks, Justin has not seen the 8 of the 10 top grossing movies of all time.
Let's play this game.
Okay.
Let's do it. Do you have the 10 top grossing movies of all time?
I do.
Now, are these
adjusted for inflation?
Adjusted for inflation. Because is it do you have like top ticket sales?
Lifetime grosses.
Okay.
So,
Cuz this is a little bit cuz obviously movies like when I was a kid, movie was $4.
Yeah, so I'm not sure it's quite adjusted for inflation, but we'll play it anyway.
All right, let's play this game. Top 10 movies. Have I seen them? Let's start. You want to go 10 to 1?
Yep.
All right,
so number 10, the first Avengers.
Yeah, saw that one.
Okay.
Saw the first Avengers. Liked it.
Okay, that's good. Good start.
Liked it.
The Lion King.
The OG?
Yes.
Yeah, everybody saw The Lion King.
Or no, I apologize. The new one.
Saw that one too.
Okay, I did not. So you got that on me, man.
That
Good
was
for you.
that was Kelly.
Hey,
That one.
Better than
That
I thought
one.
so far.
Kelly was like, "We're going to see The Lion King," and
Okay.
also not as good as a cartoon.
Fair.
Not
No,
as good as a cartoon.
cartoon's amazing. I mean, it's
Like that Lion King, like they did the live action. Didn't need it. Didn't need it.
it
Like
was-
we have the.
I don't disagree.
Because the beauty of cartoons, like they don't age; they stay the same. Like you're good.
I might be ready to eat my shoe, folks, because Justin's got 2, and we're still got 8.
See, I watch a lot of movies. I just didn't watch the one that.
All right, let's see here.
All right.
Jurassic World, the first one with Chris Pratt.
Yeah, saw that. I love Jurassic Park.
Okay.
Jurassic World's top 10 grossing movie of all time.
8. Made a lot of money.
All right.
Made a lot of money. Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Which one's that? Who is Spider-Man?
Tom Holland.
No.
Yep.
Did not see it.
2021.
I don't think I've seen. I think I saw one Andrew Garfield Spider-Man.
okay.
And other than that, Tobey Maguire is my Spider-Man.
This is where I think we're going to lose some steam, folks. Avengers: Infinity War.
No.
Nope.
Was that the last one?
Second to last one?
Second to last. Endgame was the last one. I'm
yeah,
sure
we'll get to that one. We'll get to that one. The first Star Wars when they came back.
The clone.
No, so like this.
Wait, what is it called?
The Force Awakens. This most recent trilogy,
did
the
not
first
see
one.
that, no.
Fair.
I thought you were talking about Phantom Menace.
That's a great one too.
Which I did see.
Yeah, I'm sure
in the
that's-
theaters.
I'm sure that's somewhere on this list. But okay.
Jar Jar Binks was in that one.
I hope you've seen Titanic. That still holds.
Yeah, I've seen Titanic.
Okay. Then we've got both Avatars and Avengers Endgame. So by my count, I think that's
So I'm shooting 50% from the field, I think.
Titanic, Jurassic World, Lion King, Avengers. That's 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10.
That's good baseball. You're hitting 400, baby.
That's
good.
right.
That's good. But anyway, that was Brendan's little lifetime gross sidewinder.
Have you
here.
seen every single one of those movies?
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, except for the Lion King. So I
that's right.
I
So
did
you
not see
never
the
saw-
live action. Justin, I'm a snob with Disney. I don't like it when they make live action because they're never as good as the cartoon. And I didn't.
Yeah,
see
I
that.
never saw the live action Aladdin. I
Me
didn't
neither.
see that one. Will Smith.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well,
And
are we ready to let him out of the
Nope.
box yet, or is he
Nope.
going to be there for a while, or maybe ever? I kind of want to watch the movie he was in. It keeps popping up, King Richard, and I'm like,
I've seen that. The movie's good.
Is it?
Yeah.
I keep being like, oh, am I ready to let Will Smith back into my life, kind of a thing.
So here's the thing with Will Smith. He had everybody snowballed like this entire time, right? He was like, just happy to be here, $1 million smile. And it's like, no, turns out he's starts with an A, like everybody else. Do you know what I mean?
I haven't met the man. I've only heard things say about the man.
You don't do that if you're not, God, I wish I could say that word.
I know, right? I feel you, but no, I'm just curious if he's canceled forever. You're like kind of.
We'll see. We'll see. But there's not like a movie where you're like, maybe you don't lie about not seeing, but you just go like, I'm just not going to bring it up because it's going to be a whole thing. Because I got to this point. This might surprise you, I was all in on the comic book stuff for a while. I loved Iron Man, OG Iron Man. Still the best, by the way, of all of them.
It's up there, man.
I watched the first Captain America, which I really liked. Really liked the first Captain America.
But I don't blame you.
Then it just got like,
there was like 18 movies in like 3 years.
I can't keep up.
It's hard, man. I
can't keep up. And it just feels like it got to be where I felt like I was being strung along. And I do this with TV shows too. Like if you just feel like you're dangling a carrot every single time just to get me to watch the next one. Because the Iron Man on its own, awesome movie. Then it was like, oh, you got to stick around past the credits to watch the thing. And I'm like,
little teasers. And
what are we doing?
That's kind of Marvel's thing. And again,
I just kind of quit.
They've made a lot of movies, Justin. And I remember like I wasn't in on it. It was kind of the comic book stuff that I saw a movie in Avengers. I'm like, holy cow, I need to watch this. And it took me like legitimately a week and a half to get through all the movies and understand all the nuance. And not everybody has. I did it in college, man, when I had time to do that. If I had to do it now, I could never get into the MCU. So all that to say, Will Smith, you're still
Have you seen OG Jurassic Park?
All of them.
You've seen all the
many
Jurassic Parks.
times.
All right.
Many times.
And I'm sure you've seen all the OG Star Wars.
Many times.
Many times.
Yeah, like pretty like Indiana Jones.
Yeah, OG Indiana Jones.
All of them, time and time.
That's a tough one if you because I started Indiana Jones with Temple of Doom.
The most recent and last one, not my jam. I don't know if you saw the last one that they did. Is kind of like goodbye. It was okay.
Which one was that? That's not Crystal Skull, right?
Dial of Destiny.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it came out like 2 years ago. It was okay. Nice to see Harrison Ford back, but it's hard when these trilogies go 40 years.
At some point, right? It's like, oh, hey, it's Indiana Jones. He's got a whip, and that's the music I love. And hey, they're doing the map thing, and then it was like, all right, we're gonna 2 more hours of this. All right,
and he's fighting people from 60 years ago. Like it's still
fighting the Nazis. All right. We got Make or Miss coming up. You will all get off my lawn as well. But before we get to all that, I do want to tell you about DeBella. That's right, Oregon's roofing, siding, windows, and bath renovation experts. And for the past few months, if you've been thinking about updating your home now that we're in May, it's the perfect time to make that happen. DeBella's going to do phenomenal work for you. How do I know that? 15,000 5-star reviews on Google. Plus, featured with the big boys, Better Homes and Garden, Real Simple, HGTV, accolades and customer service awards from Angie's List and Home Advisor Plus. If you want to save money as you're planning your summertime spending, well, how about going solar? Potentially pay for a new roof with savings and federal and state incentives by putting solar shingles up. DeBella's got all the details. Contact them for a free, conveniently scheduled estimate. Plus, take advantage of no payments until 2025. So now is the time to update roofing, siding, windows, and bath renovations today with DeBella. All right, coming up in hour number 3, our good friend Devon Pouncey is going to be joining the show. Is Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns due for a breakup? Can't be all that excited about Budenholzer coming in, can he? Going to make him play defense? Going to make him actually work? Because Budenholzer's like, yeah. I'm getting $10 million a year. You need to be, because rumors out of Phoenix are that Durant wasn't practicing an awful lot. I guess like he didn't talk to Frank Vogel for like a month, and we hear that more and more, right? Didn't DeAndre Ayton and like Monty Williams didn't talk for like a month? Wasn't that out of Phoenix? I don't know if that's true or not, but isn't that nuts to think like you could just in the NBA, you could just go weeks at a time and just like, yeah, I don't talk to coach. I don't talk to him.
Justin,
it's insane.
It's a good prelude to make or miss because we were definitely going to talk about that. But
even better.
But yeah, no, I think it's very, very much on the record, and that DeAndre Ayton did not talk to Monty Williams for basically the entirety of his last season there, and that led to Monty Williams ultimately leaving, led to DeAndre Ayton ultimately leaving. And based on my years of seeing how star players' egos get bruised, I doubt this will lead to Kevin Durant leaving. But then again, Frank Vogel was fired. So does that acquiesce his ego and he'll get along with Budenholzer? I mean, it's just, this as well as I, Justin. That's why I think Portland fans, kind of now revere Terry Stotts a little bit. And the post era is this job. It's all about managing egos. And the fact that Terry Stotts was able to manage, Dame and all those guys and have none of this drama. Like, really, the Dame trade drama didn't start until after Terry was gone.
Well,
but
there's other parts of it, though. I would say I would push back a little bit and be like, maybe there was no drama because there really was there wasn't an awful lot of alphas on that team. But who knows?
As it may, Blazers' best season was way better than what Phoenix's best season with this group was. Blazers went to the Western Conference Finals. Like this Phoenix team is one of the all-time, like this is up there with the 03-04 Lakers as like best teams assembled to not win a title.
Is it worse than what happened in Brooklyn with Kevin Durant?
It's same level in my opinion.
Okay.
Harden, Kyrie, and Durant to not even get close, and like Justin said.
But it's funny, we saw that, and like, I don't know about you, I instantly was like, that's not going to work. Like that, because they hired Kevin Nash as their head, or not Kevin Nash, he was a wrestler from the NWO.
I know what you meant.
Shout out to Big Daddy Cool Diesel.
I know what you meant.
Steve Nash is who they
just, yeah.
That would be so awesome if Diesel or Kevin Nash from NWO was a basketball coach. That I do want to see.
Yeah.
But they hired Steve Nash as a head coach, and it was like, he's not going to be able to get these guys to. And then they were like, we're going to like just kind of pick and choose when we play.
Now,
and it was like that was never going to work. But like they're breaking up.
See, now
Durant's breaking up with
that
Phoenix.
team, Justin. Two things I swear by with that team. I'll push back on that a little bit and say, I'm trying to choose my words carefully. If Kyrie did not tiptoe around COVID and the vaccine and that whole distraction, when Durant and Harden were like, we're playing, bro. You're not playing. So that created some issues. Then number two, as Justin likes to say, what if Kevin Durant's big toe doesn't step out of bounds?
There's two.
They might win the championship that year.
There's two.
Do they beat Phoenix?
Huge things, right? One is you're right that 2-pointer that could have been a 3-pointer that would have won Game 7 and would have eliminated the Bucks, and then the Bucks went on to go win the title and beat the Phoenix Suns. But then the other part of it is, like you said, what if COVID doesn't happen, or what if
Brooklyn had it? And
and we'll look back at rules around COVID a certain way, but
Sure.
like, what if those rules weren't implemented, right? What if those guys were playing in Orlando as opposed to playing in Brooklyn, right? If those guys were playing if you took the Brooklyn Nets as they were assembled in 2021, an exact team, coaches, everything, and you plop them in Orlando,
You mean basically what the Raptors did when they weren't allowed to play in Canada and got sent down to Tampa?
Like, what does that change things? Because Kyrie's not.
The COVID restrictions, it changes everything. And here's the biggest thing with that.
So nuts.
Yeah, biggest thing with that, Justin, and we'll get into make or miss, is it seems silly. But 4 years ago, guys, those were a lot less miles on guys who were into their late 30s. So it's Durant 4 years ago, still elite. Harden 4 years ago, still close to being elite. Kyrie Irving still kind of showing he's elite, obviously, but was even better and more spry 4 years ago.
I think a lot of people my age have this problem, Brenden, and that is, one, we all don't want to admit we're not ourselves in our prime. But like, I still look at Kevin Durant and I still see 2015 Kevin Durant. You know what I mean? Now, that was 9 years ago. It's not that dude. But I
36 when the season started.
Because wasn't that 2015 was his MVP year, right? I think 2015 or 2014.
14.
Yeah.
14.
I still see 2014 Kevin Durant when I watch him play. He's not, but I still see that. Just like, did you see the Mike Tyson? Is it Jake Paul? I don't know which Paul he's fighting.
Yes.
They did the little stare off. I still see Mike Tyson from 1989.
I think he's going to win, too.
But I watched that little stare off. I don't know if he's going to win now. He's giggling and joking and, like, he doesn't have the eye of the tiger anymore.
That MVP Durant season was elite.
But I still see that when I see Kevin Durant.
And he really hasn't fallen off. I mean, let's look back at, and maybe I should be a little bit more gracious to the fact that, like, again, compared to other guys, and he's a little like LeBron in this regard, played in 75 games last year, which a lot for Durant. 7-5, 41% from three.
This is my problem, though.
Still good.
Stats are so deceiving. You have to use them as a tool. You can't use them as
the only tool. Yes.
It's a nice, like, I got a nice toolbox. But if I only had a hammer in there, like, not helping his team win. So, anyways, we may talk about that coming up right now because it's time for Make or Miss. Let's fire it up.
All right, firing up Make or Miss here on a Tuesday, Justin. Matt Ishbia is just the latest owner to deal with Durant's poutiness. Remember when he went to Brooklyn Nets owner Joe Tsai and said, "I'm demanding a trade"? I think in France?
No, he was in England. He was in London for a Travis Scott concert. Well, his agent threw out a trade request, and which kind of blindsided it shouldn't have blindsided, but I think it took the Nets owner by surprise. Tsai is his name, right?
Notice how he hasn't even been in the news. So he's like, yeah, now that I don't run a super team anymore, I don't have to be talked about all the time.
So Kevin Durant threw out the trade request 2 summers ago and was like, all right, well, let's talk about it. And he's like, yeah, I'm in London for a concert. If you want to come. And he did. He got on a plane and flew and still got broken up with and still got dumped. And Kevin Durant still got to go where he wanted to go, and now the Nets are in the lottery, and Kevin Durant's still pulling off the same stuff. Has there ever been a player, non-criminal, who has changed their legacy more than Kevin Durant? Because think about this. Most players at the end of the year or the end of their careers will hippity hop, but ultimately they retire, they go away for a couple years, and then we look back fondly at the good years. I firmly believe Russell Wilson is going to retire. He's going to go away for a while. Seattle will mend fences, and he will come back to a hero's welcome when he is inducted into the Ring of Honor, and all will be forgotten. Kevin Durant will get zero zilch nada credit for winning 2 NBA Finals MVPs. Like you think about all the players who are like, boy, The only thing missing in their career is a ring. Kevin Durant's got 2 rings and gets recognized for 0 of them. 0 of them. Because of the decisions he made post. Well, also, part of it was he joined the best team on the league.
73-9.
Then he won 2 and then decided, I've got maybe the best thing going in basketball right now, which is a wagon that cannot be stopped. Yeah, my Achilles is torn, but I'm going to go ahead and leave.
Yeah.
And so the Brooklyn thing, that fell apart. Now he's the Phoenix thing. That's about to fall apart. Like, when it's all said and done, how are we going to look back at Kevin Durant? Now, maybe he doesn't care, but how are we going to look back? Because like I said, yeah, Russell Wilson is persona non grata in Seattle right now. He's going to retire. Maybe after a couple championships with the Steelers. Probably not. But he's going to.
Did you say a couple?
I was just. I was being facetious, Brenden.
I'll leave it. I'll leave you. I'll let you have it. Maybe I see one you could convince me on, but a couple.
I'm just trying to prepare
sell me on one good year, Justin.
It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. I'm trying to talk myself into it. It's going to be bad.
Like I said, you could sell me on
well,
one.
like I said with Durant, I still see Russell Wilson as 2015 Russell Wilson, right? I still see him as that guy. He ain't that guy anymore.
You think he'll beat out Justin Fields?
I do. Believe that was the deal.
No, I'm just curious. I'm like, no, curious.
Now I wouldn't put it past Mike Tomlin to bench him week 6 if it's not going right, because it's like, and then release him for $1 million cap hit.
Yeah, I mean, it was no risk to sign Russell Wilson. I think the Steelers are gonna.
They have to give him a chance to start, then by week 5 or 6, if it's not working, they bench him and they release him and they go with Justin Fields. Anyways, we don't have time to talk about the Steelers now. But point is, I firmly believe Russell Wilson's going to come back to a hero's welcome at some point in Seattle. All will be forgiven at one particular point. Kevin Durant will get no hero's welcome anywhere. I'm joking about LeBron James last segment, but LeBron James will get a hero's welcome in Cleveland every single time he comes back. He got them the parade that city was dying for. Guardians, and the other name they had, Browns, right? All those years and years and years of the city of Cleveland, thirsty, dying for a championship. LeBron got him that one. He will always have a hero's welcome there. Kevin Durant didn't get a hero's welcome anywhere. Like where? Even in Oklahoma City? Maybe unless he goes to Oklahoma City next year.
That's why I think your theory has legs, because if I'm Kevin Durant now.
But the fact that he's floating Miami now.
Yeah, I think he would be wise. And maybe, again, the beautiful, beautiful thing, Justin and I talked about how the Spurs GM has been there for 30 years. Sam Presti's pretty much been in Oklahoma City for 30 years for how long he's been there. Like, Sam Presti was my age, folks, when he was given the GM job of the then Oklahoma City Thunder or Seattle Supersonics, one of the two, and has literally just ran from it. I mean, can you imagine, Justin, someone my age being named a GM now? Just incredible, right? So the dude's journey has been nothing short of incredible. My question is, does he hold a grudge? Because if no one on this Thunder team would even care. If you asked SGA or any of those guys, they go, adding Durant? Okay, we can go crush the NBA. No one would.
That's why you should never ask players, by the way.
But
you should never ask players. Players always want stars with them.
Yes, they want to win.
Like, no player has ever come out publicly and like, you know what I need? A really dynamic role player.
Right.
You do, though. Like, the only person I could see doing that is Jokic, right? Jokic should probably be like, I need a really dynamic role player, because that's how you win championships. But every other player, like Giannis, like, I want Dame. Jimmy Butler, I need Dame. Maybe give me Durant. It's like, what about dynamic role player who can maybe play some defense?
For sure. So all that to say, I think he'd be silly to not look in and ask his agent to poke around in Oklahoma City, because ultimately, maybe I'm wrong, I don't think Oklahoma City is going to make the NBA Finals this year. I think they could get to the Western Conference Finals. They could, but just my guess.
You don't think they're going to beat Dallas? They're going back home now. They go back home, tied up. Last night was a huge win for Oklahoma City, because, again, they dropped the one game at home, but they snuck it back.
Yeah.
Game 5, in Oklahoma City, and then you'll have 2 to close it out, and you still get Game 7 at home. I like their shot.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately...
And Giddey ain't playing.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think that I like the Nuggets and Timberwolves to make one of those two teams to make the NBA Finals in the West. Not to say that Oklahoma City can't. I just don't have heads or tails on Oklahoma City, Dallas. It's a little bit tougher. That all being said, Justin, I think if they get eliminated, and the Thunder, like I said, which have a quarterback on a rookie deal type window to add a star, like they have a small window here, I think you trade Josh Giddey. I think you build a package
and
around
a handful of picks.
And Justin, more than a handful. You could offer Phoenix, 7?
I guess.
If you wanted to 6. I mean, again, Paul George went for 7. I don't think Durant would go for 7 at this point in his career. But
4.
4? And Sam Presti would be like, sure, but that's the question.
You get 3 years with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, and Kevin Durant.
You just protect those two. And I think Chet but like, does Sam Presti hold a grudge and go, I remember when you left me for Golden State and you left me in the worst way possible to where Oklahoma City fans were burning their jerseys. I mean, you remember all that. Like, it was bad when Durant left OKC. The worst, worst free agent leaving ever other than LeBron leaving Cleveland the first time?
Here's the thing. I think us as fans, and I'm guilty of this as well, we hold grudges so much more than anybody else in front offices do. Because we're fans. We're emotionally invested. Good GMs are not emotionally invested because you're not going to be a GM for much longer if you do hold grudges, right? If you are coming over to the fandom side, right? That's why you have to be a GM. This is business. So I don't think so. I don't think anybody would hold a grudge. You can help us win, and if you can help us... Now, here's the thing. Does Oklahoma City look at Kevin Durant and go, all right, not holding a grudge from when he left, but does Oklahoma City look at Kevin Durant and be like, you haven't been winning big lately. Can you really help us win, or are we already good?
I mean, I think Durant has proven he can be the bus rider, right? And really help push a team over the top. And if you're OKC, Justin... Not the biggest risk.
Would he be okay taking that Tim Duncan role? Because remember, like now it's a little bit different because moving around. But remember, Tim Duncan, at the end of his career, he moved aside.
Came off the bench.
And said, this is Kawhi Leonard's team. I'm here. I'm going to get this last ring. But this Kawhi Leonard's team. Would Kevin Durant be able to do that?
Yeah.
Like you said, he played 75 games this year. He averaged like 30-some minutes a game. He played a lot.
I don't think he's at that point of his career yet. Why I say he's getting older, Durant is a player who I think, like LeBron, could play till pushing 40. I really do. Now, just because Justin and I have said shooting is always like he is a 7-footer who moves like water and can shoot threes, Justin. I mean, that is going to be like he literally is Chet Holmgren's build, right? But just more athletic. And I think he'll have some time to play. But to your point, Justin, the last year that the last year San Antonio won a championship, Duncan still started 71 games. So still probably
What was his minutes per game? Do we know?
28.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Right.
So like
Maybe I've invented that narrative. I've done that before.
Yeah, we might have.
I've done that before.
His last year, like he was down to 60 games and 25. But
gotcha.
They didn't win. But my thing with OKC is I don't see a big risk because you have cap flexibility for 1 or 2 years, and Durant only has 2 years left on his deal. So if it doesn't work, Justin, what's the worst case?
And I guess if you're Kevin Durant, if you have any sense of legacy,
it would be huge for his legacy.
It's go back to Oklahoma City,
go home,
make it full circle, maybe win a championship. Now it's not guaranteed because Timberwolves are still going to be good. The Nuggets are still going to be good. The Mavericks aren't going to be going anywhere anytime soon, right? Teams in the West are going to continue to get better and better. It's not guaranteed, but it'd be a fun run. All right. Coming up next, oh man, grumpy old man Myers. Something happened to me last week. I shall complain about it, as you will all get off my lawn. Next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, let's wrap up hour number 2. It is Tuesday. And while the weather has turned and it is beautiful outside, still the work week can get you down, right? Because we have beautiful weather on a Sunday and you're like, oh, man, got to go back to work on Monday. And you hunker down for Monday and you start maybe thinking about, hey, it's going to be nice this weekend too. What can we do? Maybe we can get out on, maybe I can call my brother-in-law who's got a boat and get out on the pontoon this weekend. Maybe we can make a reservation on a rooftop. Maybe we could have a barbecue and have people over. You start thinking about the weekend, right?
Smart people who made those plans.
Exactly right. But Tuesday, it's still a ways away. And you start getting a little grumpy on a day like today. And so we lean into that here because we don't want to pack that in. We don't want to walk around with that negativity on our shoulders. We get it out. We get it out in this segment that I like to call Get Off My Lawn. Here we go. All right, I debated whether I want to talk about this or not, but in the end, I was like, meh. Screw it. Let's do it. First and foremost, let me just say, anybody out there who is a garbage collector, works for sanitation, picks up recycling, applaud and love all of you. We need you in our world. We need you in our neighborhoods. This rant that I am about to go off on is not, I repeat, not directed in any way, shape, or form of anybody that is a garbage collector, a recycle collector, yard debris collector who go around each and every day dealing with all of our trash that we just magically put out on the curb and then once a week is gone. To all of you, I applaud you. I tip my cap. It is a job I couldn't do. It is a job that we need. There. That being said, to city sanitation, I tell you to get off my lawn. Brenden, last week, out of nowhere, got a garbage bill. No big deal. Gladly pay for a garbage bill because, like I said, I am incredibly appreciative that each and every Tuesday night, I put my garbage and recycling out. Garbage every other Tuesday night. And by Wednesday afternoon, it is gone. I am incredibly appreciative of it, and I am glad to pay the cost to do that, to keep the neighborhood and to keep the city clean. Then I got a bill. I got a bill on Tuesday. And it was added fee for extra garbage container. Now, Brenden, I have one garbage can. I have one because I'm an avid recycler. I don't put garbage next to the garbage can either because I don't feel it is the garbage collector's responsibility to pick up my mess. It goes in the garbage can. But I got a bill.
You've never had overflow?
Well, we're going to talk about this here in just a moment. I got a bill that said extra container, and I'm like, oh, Kelly, you got to call them. Because Kelly is a lawyer and she does the lawyer stuff. And I'm like, you got to call them. Clearly, there was a mistake in our account. Clearly, there was something that happened in our account to add this extra charge. As it turns out, if your garbage can lid is not perfectly flush with the rest of the garbage can, if it is 3 inches peaked up, that counts the same as just getting an extra whole garbage can.
Yeah, I knew that.
Well, this is absolutely, utterly ridiculous.
Known this for probably 20 years. Learned this lesson the hard way as a youth, taking my garbage out. Because that
I learned this lesson as a grown adult man, and I shall complain about it right now because, all right, let's just talk this out real quick. And this is the tightrope that I almost didn't want to walk down today. It would be one thing for you to be like, Justin, look, can't be having garbage just strewed all about. We have to have some sort of standards. So if the garbage can lid doesn't shut, we got to make a call. Okay, fine. But I drive around this city a lot. How are we doing on garbage in this city? Portland? F through A plus. how would we grade ourselves and how we do as a city with regard to garbage? Again, not the garbage collector's fault. Just saying that. So how do you think it feels if you have me, a guy that owns a house, pays taxes, tries his best to recycle as much as possible, and because a styrofoam block that I couldn't quite break down, because, you can't recycle styrofoam. They come in a lot of Amazon packages. That might have popped the lid up. And it wasn't like it was a big, giant. It was 3 inches at best. At best.
If it is not flush.
And again, I'd be more than happy to pay that fine or pay that extra payment if I drove around and I saw that, we don't have garbage strewed all. But you know what? Our city's flooded with garbage. That's it. There's garbage everywhere. You know it. I know it. And it's the most frustrating thing ever. It's like getting a parking ticket is like, but what about the camper that's right there? So it's like, yeah. So my garbage can that's got just a smidge popped. Oh, and here's the other thing, by the way. Because, I live inside the city of Portland. And I understand the realities of living inside the city of Portland. And I've weighed the pros and cons. And I still love this city. And I fight for this city. So I weigh the pros and cons. But you know what the reality of living in the city of Portland is? Guess what? Guess what happens when you put your garbage out the night before the garbage day? Somebody's going to rummage through it. Now, can I trust that whomever at 2 a.m. who is rummaging through my garbage, looking for anything and everything that can be used or sold, is going to then continue to flush my garbage can lid down perfectly? Can I? So, I'm all for standards. And I understand that maybe it is a pain in the neck that if you go down a certain street or a certain neighborhood and you got people with like a full garbage can and then a bag sitting next to it. Yeah, but we're going to be out there with like a credit card. Like, you remember when they had to judge the first down marker with like the credit card? It's like you're out there with a credit card. Like, nope. Justin, I could slide a quarter underneath your garbage can lid. That shall cost you. Now, again, it's $6. And that's fine. I get it. Justin, you're really going to complain for 9 minutes about $6. That's not the point. The point is, how are we doing with the rest of the city's garbage?
I can't believe you never knew that.
Never had this happen before.
It almost leads me to believe you've never been in a house that maybe fills up the garbage can every week.
Well, it's just 2 adults. So it's just Kelly and I don't have kids. Oh, yeah. Crash. And every once in a while, Crash's mess gets in the garbage. Good luck rummaging through that one.
Because you had 2 brothers growing up or 1?
I did, but
so that's still a house of 5 growing up. Yeah,
but I grew up. This is the 80s. That was non-recycling time.
That's
right?
true.
You just threw your
because
stuff
that's like
away.
my whole thing. Is I remember, I was family of 6, and that was one of my chores. Justin was doing the garbage.
We did not separate. Well, at some point you did, but like I didn't have a blue bin.
Sure.
In Winston in the 80s.
Yeah, and I just remember like the voice of Dad being like, "Make sure the lid is closed. They'll charge us more." And I'm always
now that's me.
Yeah.
Right now.
I remember it well, man. They've been consistent at least.
I was so fired up.
But no, your gripes about Portland and the trash that's
it's like
around,
if I drove around in this city, there was no garbage really anywhere, I'd be more than happy. But okay, yeah, me, I'm the problem. Hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me because my garbage can lid didn't exactly perfectly flush down. But yeah, a block and a half away.
Hello, it's Justin.
Oh, man. All right, so there you go. Get off my lawn. But by the way, to the garbage collectors, I salute you. We need you. We need you. Not at you. Devon Pouncey joins the show next, 620 Rip City Radio. It is 8 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Justin Myers with you. NBA playoffs last night. The Celtics outlasted the Cleveland Cavaliers without Donovan Mitchell, 109-102. LeBron James sitting courtside saw the Celtics take a 3-1 advantage. Saw Jason Tatum drop 33 points. I guess Jason Tatum's good again. The Oklahoma City Thunder have tied up their series with the Dallas Mavericks at 2 games apiece with a win on the road. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 34 points in the win. NFL news, the Detroit Lions have signed Jared Goff to a 4-year, $212 million extension with $170 million guaranteed. And more scheduling news from the NFL. First game of the year, Thursday Night Football, will feature the Chiefs and the Ravens. First Monday Night Football game will see the New York Jets travel to the San Francisco 49ers. Friend of the program, Devon Pouncey, joins us live in studio for the entire third hour, and it starts right now on 620 Rip City Radio. Hey, welcome back to Rip City Mornings, everybody. Very excited to welcome back our good friend in studio. You may know him in and around the Portland area as Pouncation or DJ Pounce. We know him as friend of the program, Devon Pouncey, back on the Big Show. What's up, bud?
Man, feeling good, feeling great, feeling good. How are you?
I can't top that. I can't top that. That was.
It's a great record, man.
That was dynamic. All right, we got a lot of stuff we need to talk about because the playoffs are rolling, but also, as always, seems to be around the NBA. There's drama.
Oh, yeah.
In and around the league, right? They don't used to wait until the finals was over before the drama would start. Now it's like we don't have time to wait for that.
This stuff is better than General Hospital.
So we've been talking about it this morning, but I want to get more into this because for those that maybe are just tuning in and don't know, you called games for the Rip City Remix all season long.
Facts.
So you're the basketball analyst for the Rip City Remix. You are as tuned into the G League as anybody that I know, and seeing it right now on ESPN. Right, the big story: Bronny James. The announcement was made. I think the news came down yesterday.
Yeah,
he's going into the draft. He got a draft grade of, I believe, 98. He's the 98th rated prospect heading into the draft.
Got it.
But that doesn't factor in other things. And so I've heard Adrian Wojnarowski brought this up earlier this morning. I think brought it up also yesterday. He said teams are intrigued with Bronny James because he would bring eyeballs. He would bring names. And for teams like in the G League, like you have watched, that's a factor,
yeah,
right? Having
for sure.
someone with name recognition to put butts in the seats, right? In the end, it's not show friends, it's show business.
That's a fact.
And trying to sell tickets and put on a quality product. That being said, what do you think the likelihood is that there is a team out there that would that would use up a draft pick on a guy who is clearly not NBA ready? He might be NBA ready in about 2 to 3 years, but he's clearly not NBA ready. You only get a certain amount of picks every single year to maybe try to sell some tickets in the G League. And I guess second part of this question is, would he sell tickets in the G League?
Yeah.
At about 5 points a game.
I mean, I guess to answer your first question, I don't know if he gets drafted, but he gets signed somewhere. He makes the Summer League roster. He plays in the Summer League, and I think he even gets invited to a camp, which to me is more important. I mean, obviously you get drafted, there's a good chance that you'll be invited to a camp anyway, but do I think he'll get drafted? Maybe, maybe not, but do I think there's an opportunity for him to get signed to an NBA roster and be playing Summer League basketball in Las Vegas this year? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I believe that, that he's worth that, obviously. He's still a good young athlete, and he's a future NBA prospect. Do I think he's NBA ready today? I haven't seen that. Obviously, he's dealt with a lot of health complications, during his tenure at USC. He came back to USC. He wasn't like this star player there. He was a rotation guy, and you give him some grace because he was coming off of a pretty major health complication with heart issues. But I do think that, yes, he will put butts in seats. And I also think that, yes, a lot of guys will take it personal that he got signed just to put butts in seats because they believe and quite frankly know that they are better than he is today. So he will also be targeted night in and night out if he ever touches that hardwood in the G. Trust me, I saw it with Ron Holland and Matas Buzelis with G League Ignite. It's part of the reason why G League Ignite doesn't exist anymore, because they got these young guys that are future NBA prospects and expected to be ready 2 to 3 years from now, and they get targeted by these other dudes that are super hungry trying to find a spot in the NBA. And because they got targeted, they barely won games, and so that's why they no longer exist. So I could see something similar happen with him on more of an individual side rather than a team side like we saw for the Ignite.
Here's what I'm interested in. I want to get your thoughts. I want to get Brendan's thoughts on this as well, because I'm the old man in the room. Fully admit I am the old man in the room. I am also, I've admitted this multiple times, I'm the LeBron hater in the room. I am a hater. Because I'm a Michael Jordan guy, and I don't even like the comparisons. So I don't understand the intrigue, but there are numbers to back this up. Because I saw some people online, and I would have thought the same thing. It's like, a G League team's going to draft Bronny, or a NBA team's going to draft Bronny. They're going to put him in the G League just to get interest. Like, who's going to watch? He scores 4 points a game in college, right? Well, I looked at the numbers.
Yeah.
Right? Looking at the numbers right now, average attendance on the road in the Pac-12. On the road, average attendance. USC was number one. Number one road attendance.
I can imagine.
Brenden, you know this. Pounce, you know that. USC stunk this year.
Horrible.
No, USC stunk this year.
Only the women were good over there.
Yes, that's true. So you've got nearly 10,000. It's 99.10 was the average attendance for USC games on the road. This year.
That's a packed house everywhere.
It's a packed house, and they stink, right? The other teams, let's compare to other teams. UCLA was at 9,100 average attendance on the road this year. UCLA's a name brand in basketball, right?
Sure.
You're a Pac-12 fan. You're like, what game do you want to go to? Hey, UCLA's usually pretty good.
That's right.
Arizona was at 8,400 on the road. Arizona was a top 5, top 10 team.
Yes, they were.
All year long. USC was at 1,500 more a game than Arizona was.
Yeah.
And they stunk.
Yeah.
So I don't get it. Is this just trickle down LeBron stuff? Is this a new thing that the kids are doing that I don't understand? Because I know there's a whole internet world, there's a whole Instagram world.
Yeah.
I don't get it. So I'll start with you, Pounce, and I want to get Brendan's thoughts as well, because help me out. I don't get the intrigue of watching a bad team with a guy who's not good on a bad team, and his dad's famous, but his dad's not there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is why I believe, yes, he could put butts in seats in the G League. I think it's a combination of it all. He's LeBron's namesake. I mean, he is a Division I basketball player. Give him some credit for that. You know what I mean? I'm not saying you aren't, but I'm just saying generally, accumulating all the reasons why they had the number one road attendance. He's a Division I college basketball player. He's been marketable his entire life. NIL, he's one of the biggest NIL athletes there is. So everybody's marketing him beyond just a game of basketball. You get any kind of endorsement or a partnership with him, you're pushing the kid. And so I think all the way around, And then of course, coming off of some of the health complications. People tend to get a little nosy with stuff like that. Well, the kid had a heart attack. He's coming back. Is he good to play?
Yeah.
Is he not? Are we going to sit here and witness something crazy? Unfortunately, I think that's kind of nasty work, but there is some intrigue, I think, in that as well. And then timing. Yes, you talk about the internet, social media. Bronny he has a huge platform just overall, whether it be in the basketball community, the gaming community, whatever community it is that he's on the internet doing his thing on. Bronny has his own platform and following. So I just think it's a combination of it all. And, it doesn't surprise me at all that USC, who was not that good, got all the attendance on the road that they did because he is indeed Bronny James.
Well, I mean, because I saw those videos because I'm on the internet a lot. I think they were playing like UC Santa Barbara or something, and like the line going around the building for like a non-conference.
I think LeBron might have attended that game.
He might. That might have been that one as well. I mean, is it like, hey, maybe LeBron will be at the game? Like I don't understand.
I think like Devon said, I think it's more just like the gravitas around him and less about his actual basketball ability. Like I'll use the example of you want to know about the youth, Justin.
Tell me about the youth.
Back in, let's see, December 30th, USC played Oregon State at Gill. And I had my brother who was 18 and my brother who was 15 both asked me, do you want to take us to the game and go see Bronny? Not go see just Bronny.
Yeah.
Right? And it didn't end up working out because for whatever reason I can't actually remember, but that turned out to be Bronny's best game of his college career. He had like 15 points and, could shoot. Like that was his best game of the year. And I think that there's just an intrigue, like Devon said, based on him being the namesake, the hype that we put around him. And maybe he makes it, maybe he doesn't. But you can't deny that he's like a mini celebrity.
Well,
that's where I look. It's just that celebrity status. You know what I mean?
And like I said, I'm fully aware of celebrities becoming famous just for being famous. And yes, he's a Division I basketball player. He played at the high level of Power 5 conference in the Pac-12. But now we're talking NBA, right? I've seen a lot of college basketball players pounce, and now we're talking about playing in the NBA.
Adam Morrison was really good in college.
Yes, he was.
You never know, right?
I told Brenden one time in confidence that I, as Big Dumb Doofus, said that the Blazers should draft Adam Morrison instead of Brandon Roy. Yeah, I know. It's the worst take I've ever had. And you would think, like,
one, right?
that was such a,
you must have been in Seattle or something.
No, I was in Eugene.
Oh, okay.
You would think you'd be like, hey, that's such a vulnerable thing for you to tell me. I probably shouldn't, jab you with it. No, every time he brings it up.
Oh, it is in playful love, my friend, but it is a great cold take. It's fantastic.
It is my worst take. Brandon Roy's been in college for 4 years. There's a reason why. It turns out he's awesome. He was NBA ready. The NIL part of it is, and maybe we'll wrap this up with maybe catch us on the other side. Here, the Shedeur Sanders thing, right? He puts himself out there.
Yeah.
They are full court press in your face. I don't know what Bronny sounds like. You know what I mean? I don't see, maybe it's because I'm not on that Instagram bubble, but like, I don't get the sense that Bronny is like, he's not doing KFC commercials. He's not doing terrible hip hop songs.
You sound like somebody that is not quite a cord cutter yet.
Oh my gosh.
Not yet. I'm close. I'm close.
Thank you, Devon. Thank you, Devon.
You sound like Mr. Comcast Xfinity himself.
We're getting in there.
There's
I like my remote control, okay? I like it.
Clearly.
I love it. Finally, some support on this show.
The bills get a little expensive, though.
I'm telling you, streaming stuff is pretty good. It's pretty good.
All right, coming up on this side, we're going to talk some actual basketball is actually being played, plus other drama. LeBron, is he orchestrating a way out of L.A., or is he making more moves to try to get his buddy J.J. Redick to be the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers? Drama in Phoenix, plus there's actual games and players still in the mix going on. More coming up next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, Devon Pouncey joining us live in studio. A lot of basketball stuff to dive into. Last week, Pounce on Friday, I said the Nuggets are cooked. I had this whole fun thing because their names are Nuggets, and I'm like, you can cook them in the microwave, you can cook them in the oven, you can deep fry them. The Nuggets are cooked.
Yeah,
they were done.
It looked like it.
Game 2 at home.
Yeah,
no Rudy Gobert.
Yeah,
they got hammered.
Absolutely.
Like the Undertaker. They came right back.
They came right back on the road.
They came
no
right
problem.
And like it wasn't even really all that close.
No, it wasn't.
In either one of those games.
They handled it.
So from a basketball perspective, is this just woke up, like realized, hey, this series is getting out of hand? Was this maybe Minnesota going like, we've got this? This is what happens with young teams, teams without playoff experience. What do you think the difference was in this series going from they were cooked?
Yeah.
They were done.
Yeah.
Minnesota's had to win one home game to have and be able to close it out, and they weren't even close.
Yeah, I think Minnesota's weakness in all of this, obviously a great team, very athletic. We talk about their length, their size, and I think they're a team that, like, when they're rolling, because they have the size, the athleticism, Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, like, they can kind of explode on you. But I think when things kind of start to slow down and they settle in, their weakness to me has always been, I know Mike Conley's a vet, but when you get deeper into the playoffs, if you even watch, the OKC versus the Dallas series, it's like the guys you got controlling the basketball that are like your floor generals are guys like Shea, guys like Luka. Obviously, in Denver's case, Jamal Murray picked it up and he stepped up quite a bit. But we know that he's a guy, especially in the postseason, where I don't think Mike Conley is quite enough for a slowed down playoff atmosphere. And I think that's been their true weakness, is that they don't have a guy that can kind of game manage when they aren't able to just kind of lock you down and play in the open floor and just kill you with athleticism and size and all of those things. And so I think, obviously, the elevation of Jamal Murray in these last couple games, you even got to consider Joker, a guy who can control a basketball game as like a weird point center, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I just think that Minnesota doesn't have that. So I've always been concerned for them when the game slows down. Who do they have that's going to kind of manage the game? Because we know Anthony Edwards is just always in go mode. And again, we know with that athleticism, they like to turn you over and get out in the open floor. But I do think when the game slows down, which tends to be what playoff basketball is, that type of basketball far more favors Denver than it does Minnesota.
We were talking about it, had to be yesterday. You can look back at so many great superstars in the league, and I think Anthony Edwards is a tremendous player, and I think he's ultimately going to be a massive superstar in this league. But superstar only takes you so far in the postseason.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And we saw it with Jordan. I mean, I saw it with Jordan. Like, at some point, he needed help.
Yeah.
Had to make some decisions. Had to then also learn to trust teammates. You can go and get 50, but nobody else is engaged. Nobody else is there. And it feels like the thing that I saw Denver do from game 2 to game 3, it was, all right, Anthony Edwards is going to get his.
For sure.
Nobody else is going to beat us, especially Karl Anthony Towns.
That's right.
And we saw it even with LeBron early in his career, where he was trying to do everything.
Yeah.
And got a long ways, had a lot of success, but didn't win championships until Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
And let him, and then even you even look at like Steph Curry until they got Draymond Green, right? And that supporting cast is so impactful.
Yeah.
In postseason basketball. And I don't know if that's Anthony Edwards not there yet in terms of trusting his teammates. Maybe the teammates just aren't up to that level yet. But it definitely looked like Denver was like, all right, we'll let him get his.
Yeah.
Nobody else is beating us, especially Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, for sure. But again, I think that's not having a point guard who can kind of orchestrate things offensively for you. Anthony Edwards is just that good to where, he can drop 44 points in a loss too on phenomenal, efficient shooting. But at the same time, I don't think that's so much, A, a part of Anthony Edwards' game, and B, that's just what they don't have. Mike Conley, I think, is the guy who has to figure out how to orchestrate this offense to get everybody involved. I don't really think that's Anthony Edwards' role on this team. And again, if you look at all the other point guards that are remaining, I mean, even look at Dallas. I know they lost last night, but if Luka's not playing point, guess who is? It's Kyrie Irving, who distributed really well last night. And for the most part, Dallas was in control of that game until Shea just erupted. But again, that's Shea, and that's what he can do from that point guard position. So, yeah, I think Minnesota's got to figure out a way to continue to clamp up defensively and play on the open floor, because that's the only thing that favors them. The more they let this thing slow down, the more momentum that is going to be gained on Denver's side of things. And we obviously saw them gain some momentum, winning 2 on the road to even the series up to go back home for a Game 5.
All right, so clearly Denver's not cooked.
Clearly. about medium rare right now. Maybe they're medium at this point. Wow. It's tied 2-2.
It's tied 2-2.
and go home.
And Minnesota just lost every advantage that they had by stealing 2 games in Denver. So, flip side now, are the Timberwolves cooked?
I don't believe the Timberwolves are cooked.
Okay.
I do think the Timberwolves, again, do have enough athletic prowess, and they do have guys that can fill it up. I don't think it's a depth issue for the Timberwolves, but I do think that they've got to try to figure out how to kind of get the ball circulating a little bit more. Cat has to be a 20-plus guy, a 20 and 10 guy, period. Yeah. If he's at minimum, you really want to see him be closer to 25 and 10, but at minimum, he's got to be a 20 and 10 guy. And if he's anything less than that, then yes, that's going to be unacceptable, because they got not only Joker who's going to put up monstrous numbers night in and night out, but Aaron Gordon, got to give him his. He is playing extremely well in that front court. So Cat's got to step it up. But again, you kind of need a point guard to help him be able to do that and help him kind of find his spots and put him in position to thrive and be successful. And I just don't know who that guy is from Minnesota, so I don't think they have an advantage in that regard. Won't call him cooked, but no longer have an advantage.
Well, and Denver really looks like they made the adjustment again of, like, I think attacking Karl Anthony Towns on both sides.
Yeah.
Right. And it's with Aaron Gordon.
For
right?
sure.
Aaron Gordon has kind of been the catalyst because,
he's playing physical with him defensively, and then offensively, they're both going at him and Joker, whoever he gets matched up on.
Yeah, because you've got, like, Gobert's going to have to take Jokic, and like you said, they'll throw some switches up. But once that matchup, boom, Aaron Gordon is right on Karl Anthony Towns.
He is.
And he has kind of locked him up on the other side. Let's go to the other series that's going to be going on tonight. So the Pacers get 2 games back at home.
Yeah.
The Knicks look like kind of Lady Luck was on their side, the way that the officiating was going to be going. Rick Carlisle is like, boy, can these small markets ever get a chance? It's like, yeah, Milwaukee's won a title. Oklahoma City's pretty good. Like, let's stop with the small market stuff.
For sure.
But did it work? Because it feels like, and we're going to talk about the injuries in a bit, it feels like they got the attention of the NBA and the officials, and the calls that the Knicks were getting in Madison Square Garden, they were not getting in Indiana, which that happens. Right?
For sure.
It happens all the time. That's why you always talk about how these series don't really mean anything until a team wins on the road.
Facts.
But so the officiating has been a huge factor, but to me, the officiating has overshadowed the fact that just the Knicks are beat up. And with OG Anunoby seemingly out for the rest of the series, along with Julius Randle, along with Brenden, help me out.
Mitchell Robinson.
That guy.
Yeah.
He's out. And Jalen Brunson's dealing with they're calling it a sore foot.
He's a bruiser, man.
I have a hunch it's maybe a little bit more severe than maybe a sore foot.
Yeah.
They just don't want to. So, do the Knicks have any gas left in the tank? Now they're going to be playing at home, and we'll see Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, but it feels like the run might be over for the Knicks.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a tough series to win, especially because, as you mentioned, as they kind of start to deplete and get banged up, and even the way that even their style of play, stylistically, they're bruisers, which you can kind of only go so far with that. And you're playing against a young Indiana team who is just going to keep going. They're the number 1 scoring team in the league, this season. They run like crazy. They got a Tyrese Halliburton over there who, again, is one of those point guards that I speak of that Minnesota doesn't quite have, and he can kind of get everybody involved. He's really good as a floor general and a passer, can also score it as well, obviously. And I just think Indiana is one of those teams that once they get revved up, they're really, really hard to slow down. And so I don't know if New York has enough to slow them down slow them down enough over the course of 7 games and actually beat them. So I think I'm going to roll with Indiana in that one.
All right. Boston's taking control in that series.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell's hurt. I doubt you're going to see him play in Game 5.
Yeah.
You're down 3-1 on the road. Calf injury. We don't mess with calf
we don't
injuries.
do it for sure.
But LeBron James was sitting courtside the game last night.
Yeah.
And I found that very interesting because LeBron James does nothing just on a whim. I think everything he does has some sort of meaning to it. Can I ask you this first?
That's his hometown, though.
I understand that, but he just happened to be back.
He's got his school out there.
Yes.
It's the off season. He finally gets to go home and be hands-on with the young students over there.
Just happened to be the day that the Cavs were playing at home against the Celtics.
He was there. Why not? He's the face of the NBA. Give him some grace.
Devon's got it all laid out.
I'm just saying, like, of all the places to be, like, a lot of times you can go back to Cleveland.
Maxey was sitting courtside at the OKC and Dallas game last night. You take anything from that?
There's no way if Tyrese or Maxey ever leaves Philly, though, Devon. There's a chance LeBron could leave LA.
LeBron could leave. He could leave LA. They don't hire the right head coach.
He could be out of there, man. It looks like JJ. It looks like his podcast co-host is in the lead for the job. So
here's what I will say, and I respect for LeBron James. Tip of the cap. Because I don't know if you saw this. Did you see what LeBron was drinking?
No, I didn't.
He had a full bottle of red wine.
Oh,
courtside.
Well, yeah. Vino, baby.
Which normally
That's what they do.
I love it's just like, but of all the players, like LeBron's going to sit courtside, and it's like, hey, I know he brought it himself.
Well, remember one of the years he had a bottle of Lobos, I think, sitting on the floor or something like that. Like, he's the only guy that can get Lobos in the arena. It's LeBron. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Product placement. You know what I mean? He might have a red wine coming out. Who knows?
But I saw that, and I'm like, you know what? Respect.
Yeah,
respect.
I'm with it.
I don't have time to wait for this waitress between.
Yeah, I'm LeBron James.
I'm LeBron James.
Make it happen.
Bring me the bottle.
It's facts.
Don't worry about it. It'll be right here.
That's facts.
All right. Let's talk draft real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So on Sunday, the ping pong balls fell. Blazers got leapfrogged.
Yeah,
three different times.
Yeah.
Got leapfrogged 3 different times. Now they're going to be picking 7th. I made the case yesterday, Devon, that in a draft, especially like this year, where there is not a consensus, there's no Wemby, there's no Banchero, there's no Zion, there's no Anthony Edwards. There isn't a guy, and I'm not saying that there's not going to be a superstar player in this draft. There's just not a guy that we know, right? There is no real name recognition in this draft.
Yeah.
And I understand that it's still a bummer that the Blazers, who look to at least be in the top 4, now they're sitting at 7 on the outside looking in. But in this draft, and you think about all these guys that we just talked about, whether it was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who was a number 11 draft pick, whether it's Tyrese Halliburton, who I believe was a number 12 draft pick, Donovan Mitchell was 13, Jamal Murray was a 7, Steph Curry, 7. Like, you look at all of these players that are contributing and right in the mix to either win MVP, Jokic, second rounder. Taco Bell commercial was on when he got drafted. He's won 3 MVPs.
Yeah.
But you look at all of these guys who are both in the MVP race. Jalen Brunson's a second rounder as well. Like, there are guys to be had 7th pick and beyond.
Yeah.
It's just, you got to find your right guy. And I think in this draft especially, where there isn't you can take some risks. Nobody is going to, I think, bust Joe Cronin for any pick the day of the draft because, Pounce, we don't know any of these guys.
We don't know. Yeah, I agree. And I think, there's guys that I like personally, but I do believe that it's not as bad a position to be in. Of course, it sounds good to be a number 1, number 2, or number 3 pick, but it's like, I think we know a little bit more, and then I think we know a little bit more about the Blazers' identity than we have kind of been led on to believe, just based off of the fact that a lot of guys were so injured over the course of the season. But I mean, I think the Blazers are committed to Scoot, and I think the Blazers are committed to DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah.
Those are the two guys that I think are not going to be moved, and I think you just kind of build around that. And I think you use this draft to just kind of plug and place areas where you may not be 100% sold on and try to find guys that maybe have some of the tools that fit those needs. That's what I think this year's draft is all about. It's not about trying to get a Wemby or a Scoot, for that matter, or a Brandon Miller, whatever the case may be, like you did last year, and sort of that top-heavy, lottery aspect. But I think this year is more about finding pieces rather than trying to find your star. I think you're building this team around Scoot and DA.
Now, I've been on record. I would be the worst basketball GM ever. We just talked about my Adam Morrison take, so I would be terrible. But I do think the Blazers. It could be either a blessing, it could be a curse. I think, you got to find talented basketball players.
For sure.
But I think wiring, mental makeup, competitiveness, that's, I think, the attributes that I think you got to be looking deep into this draft.
Agreed.
To figure out, because all of these guys that we have talked about, whether it's Shea, whether it's Halliburton, whether it's Brunson, whether it's Jamal, they're all dogs.
The dogs.
And who all have a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
Probably because they weren't drafted in the top 3.
Facts.
And I think that's the kind of guy that the Blazers need to go out and find.
And just kind of adding on that, I'm curious your take, Devon. What did you see from Ron Holland and Matas Buzelis when you got a chance to see them this year?
Matas Buzelis.
Yeah.
A couple guys at the wing position that I think could be available for Portland there at 7.
Yeah.
You saw them with your own eyes. What did you see from those guys?
Yeah, I did. I really like Ron Holland. Ron Holland, I think, has every tool necessary except for like a long-range jump shot, which, for what it's worth, I think the Blazers do probably need a little bit more shooting on that wing. But in terms of his athleticism, his ability to score, his defense in particular, he averaged nearly like 3 steals a game for a good portion of the season this year. I'm much bigger on Holland than I was on Matas Buzelis personally, but I think Buzelis, has a little bit more size with some guard skill. But in terms of like ready right now, I think Holland's that dude. I also think, don't sleep on Dalton Connect over there in Tennessee.
Yeah.
He's somebody who I've been having my eyes on, and I actually got to witness and see him play when he was in the Big Sky. And I got to call his games when they played against Portland State when he was at Northern Colorado, dropping 30 before transferring to Tennessee and ultimately becoming the player of the year in the SEC. And I think he's a guy that's probably the most pro-ready in this entire draft. Obviously, he's older, played through his entire college career, but can shoot the lights out on scoring on all 3 levels. So he's a guy that I wouldn't sleep on either. But I think Ron Holland, from a potential standpoint, if you can go get him, you kind of got to take him.
Yeah, that's crazy with that, Devon. You mentioned Connect. There is not one guy projected in the one guy over the age of 19 years old projected until Dalton goes in top 14.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting, that mix of usually the first rounders don't love seniors, but I agree. He's played really well this year. He could.
He's good, man. He's good.
The Holland guy's 18.
Well,
he's gonna be.
That's what I'm saying. He's young.
He's gonna be 19 in July.
Yeah,
no,
he's
I'm not
young.
saying
we
that
want 19-year-olds now, though.
And his athleticism is completely unmatched. He was more athletic than all of those guys in the G League.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that as criticism. I'm just simply saying that the Blazers potentially next year could have 3 guys that can't get into a bar in the starting lineup.
Just keep growing that list, baby.
It's like, hey, you want to go out? I think
going to the juice bar, baby.
I mean, maybe Applebee's is open.
Yeah, but I'm big on Connect. I might be a little Big Sky biased, but again, he's another guy that I called his games, on several occasions when he was at Northern Colorado, and he's like that.
All right, coming up next, we wrap up the show with the Ebony and Ivory version of the RCM mailbag to wrap up the big Tuesday show next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, time to wrap up the big show. Devon Pouncey sticking around in the studio. Rip City Remix basketball analyst, friend of the program, hangs out with us each and every Tuesday. And for those that know the history, Pounce and I used to have our own show. We used to do this for 3 hours every day.
Yes, that's right.
And so
let's make it happen again. Somebody that's listening, it's got a little more power than we
throw
do.
that out in the universe. Throw it out in the universe. I am not opposed. But we created a segment years ago where there was some tension in the building we were at, and there was some tension in the country we were at, and we're like, how do we go about maybe easing some of that tension through humor and through love and curiosity? So we created a segment called Ebony and Ivory, where we can ask each other about our cultural differences and knowing that it is a safe place and that it is not from a place of judgment, but a place of curiosity. So we created Ebony and Ivory. Here we go. All right, here's my question on Ebony and Ivory.
Got it.
When you were a kid, what were things that you saw in your neighborhood and just kind of community that you thought made you rich? And then you grew up and realized, nah, that wasn't it. So, like, here's an example. When I was a kid, I grew up. My parents were teachers. I grew up middle class. Everybody had one-story houses.
Yeah.
I thought people that had two-story houses were rich.
For sure.
And I'm like, whoa, your bedroom's upstairs? I thought if you had a spiral staircase down to a basement, you were rich. And then you learn, like, no, they weren't really rich. Was there anything like when you were growing up as a kid?
Big yards, like a big backyard.
Big backyard.
You know, that big enough to where you could dang near play football in. And so, you know, maybe not quite that big, but you know, for black, you know, we called it black man tackle, or you know, we won't call it some of the other names that that game gets called on radio.
That doesn't rhyme though, Pounce.
Exactly.
That one doesn't rhyme.
We won't say the rhyming names of the game because we don't want to get in any trouble. We just tried to advocate for 3 hours a day on this thing. I mean, come on now. Why would we cut ourselves short already? But
can I just say real quick, it is amazing that name even lasted into your generation.
It did.
I thought it was going to die with mine.
No, it lasted. It lasted in the minds.
There was a we called it Kill the Carrier.
Yeah.
Which was the other name we created because, you know.
Yeah.
The rhyming name was terrible.
And then for us, it was clothes, man. It was clothes.
Yeah.
It was, you know, I grew up in the Bay Area. So the old school whips, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The old school cars, the Cougars from, you know, back in the 70s and, you know, with the rims and the mustard and mayonnaise, the Vogue tires, like stuff like that. Cars that had like crazy bass and like the speak, like we rattle in the trunk. We trying to knock, you know, we trying to do whatever we can to break whatever it is that is on our car because the car is shaking and rattling because of the slap of the music. It was stuff like that. Jordans, you know, your shoe game, you know. Coming to Portland, I've got a different approach on that because you can get it's just the wealth of shoes that are here and the price that you can get them at. If all you need to do is get a Nike or Adidas employee pass, is like, oh, it's a lot more easier to access these expensive shoes that, you know, folks grew up that we thought had big money having back home where I grew up at. So that kind of changed it a little bit when it comes to sneaker culture, but shoes were big for us too.
Other thing that I remember, and again, this is more not cultural, probably more generational. You had a CD player.
Yeah,
you were rich.
Yeah.
You had a CD player in the car.
In the car,
oh boy,
for sure.
Like that.
No, if you had, I've come up if you had TVs in the car.
Yeah,
you were rich.
So
when you had them in the headrest. Yeah, exactly. And then, again, talking about the old school whips, the Pimp My Rides, like got people who could do that. Like that was a big deal for us growing up.
Brenden, well, you grew up in Sherwood, so you actually had rich people around you.
It's true.
Growing up, because I don't know if in Vallejo or in Winston there were wealthy people.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was any rich people.
And did you guys have many kids who had brand new Audis when they went to school?
Yeah, no.
Like delivered to them on we had a few of those.
Like
rolling up brand new, you know, A4 or whatever they like, and you're like, oh wow, oh yeah, you know, so and so's trust fund dad.
Douglas High School parking lot. The Honda Civic was like the high end.
Yeah.
Like, dude, they got brand new Honda Civic.
But it's like it was a range. It's like it was a range. Then there were, people like your boy that was rocking a New Yorker in high school, man. So, it was
I
a
had
wide
little
range.
red Honda, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Little red Honda Accord from 98 or something.
Yeah, there it is. All right, Justin, you had a question there. Or was that it?
That was it.
That
I
was
was
it.
just wondering because, like, well, it's just funny because when you think of, like, as a kid, you're like, oh, the rich people have, like, a second story. And then you realize, like, it's just that.
Yeah.
It's not really.
Yeah.
Did you feel that way? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Like,
I
I always
remember-
thought if I
Yeah,
went to a
two-story house was a big deal.
I
sure.
do remember when we moved into our first and only 2-story house, and it was kind of like, wow, we have stairs. Like, it was kind of a big deal.
And then, like I said, CD players, big screen TV.
Yeah.
You had a big screen TV.
Yeah.
You were
Yeah,
rich.
that mattered. That
satellite
mattered.
dish. Oh, if you
That
had a
mattered.
satellite dish.
That mattered. That mattered
That
for sure.
mattered.
That mattered. For you,
Yeah.
so I think y'all talked about it a little bit last week, maybe a day or two after I left. And it was this whole Tom Brady roast, which I watched the Tom Brady roast as well. And particularly, Kevin Hart, who hosted it. And Kevin Hart is kind of an interesting character, especially on Black Twitter, because some of us adore Kevin Hart because he's like breaking barriers as a black man in comedy. And then others of us, may feel that he's a little bit corny because he doesn't appeal to us quite as much anymore because he's reached different levels. And then I'm a big fan of Andrew Schultz. But growing up, I think Andrew Schultz is the first white person that has ever been like my favorite comic during like present day.
Yeah.
I've always been into black comedy and never really gotten to white comedy. So for you, because obviously you can relate to who you identify with, who is your favorite black comedian of all time? Because I would assume, and I could be wrong, that maybe your all-time favorite comedian might not be black.
It changes a lot.
Okay.
But Chris Rock.
Chris Rock.
Chris Rock, bring the pain. Bring the pain.
Which doesn't surprise me.
Bring the pain, Chris Rock.
Yeah.
Was, I thought, now, again, I also would go to my friend's house and stay the night, and we were not allowed to watch it, but we would watch Eddie Murphy Raw.
Yeah.
I was going to say Eddie.
Eddie Murphy. Yeah.
Eddie Murphy's
I
up there.
rewatched Eddie Murphy Raw not
Eddie
that
Murphy's
long
the
ago.
real deal. Oh, yeah.
It's like I was watching this when I was 9.
Yeah.
Should not have been, but we would like. So like I very much remember Eddie Murphy Raw and Delirious, and then we would like whisper, like never say the N-word, but like G.I. Joe go swimming underwater.
Yeah.
So we would do that, but no,
Chris Rock.
Chris Rock, bring the pain,
Head of
Chris
state,
Rock.
baby.
I like Dave Chappelle. I know that's kind of a.
I love Chappelle too.
I really like Dave Chappelle. Kevin Hart, I've watched all his stand-up stuff too.
Yeah.
I mean, Eddie Murphy, just as a comedian's hilarious.
See,
Like I said, Devon, I would put them up there with mine. As far as being like some of my favorite comedians.
Yeah. I'm more of a Bernie Mac guy myself.
Oh yeah, classic.
Just to,
We now again
shake
because
things up a
again
little bit.
because again, what do we got? Like 30 seconds, maybe. You grow up in small town Oregon, right? You get into big city culture. Dude, we watch Kings of Comedy so much.
Yeah.
I could recite Kings of Comedy.
Yeah. That's a
Sunflower
classic.
seeds
I'm
at
a
the
Mike Epps
wedding.
guy too. Tucker, Epps, Bernie Mac. That's like my big three.
But no, Chris Rock.
Chris Rock.
Bring,
That makes sense.
bring the pain, Chris Rock.
You're all in.
And I can't say anymore. All right. Thanks to our good friend, Devon Pouncey. Thanks to super producer Brenden. Thanks to all of you. Have a terrific Tuesday, everybody. We're back tomorrow bright and early on 620 Rip City Radio.